Introduction. Financial freedom means to have enough money that you don't need to work anymore. It means that you go to work because you love it and not because you are dependent on it. Having financial freedom means you can retire at 40 years old or any age as early as you can. Financial freedom means not living from paycheck to paycheck. How much money do you need to support your family? How much money do you need to pay all your debts, cover for your kids' education, and pay for your monthly living expenses? In this book, you will learn ways on how you can get that target amount of money. Maybe you need $1,000. Earning that amount is not impossible. Let us learn how Grant Sabatier did it and how you can do it too. Money is freedom. In 2010, Grant Sabatier was 24 years old. He was broke, unemployed, and living at his parents' house. He had been laid off 2 months later in his job at a newspaper. His parents said that he could go live with them in his childhood home, but he needs to find a job in the next 3 months. Every night at dinner, Grant's parents would ask him if he had any luck. But he had already passed 200 resumes in the past month, and not one company has called him back. That morning, he was craving for a burrito, so Grant checked his bank account. In his savings account, which he labeled Do Not Touch, there is gall 1 cent. In his checking account balance, there is only $2.26. Grant could not afford a burrito. He could not even afford to buy some guacamole. Grant went down to the kitchen and made himself a turkey sandwich. He ate it up and went outside to the backyard. He laid on the grass and looked up at the sky. As planes are passing by, he reflected on his life so far. Grant thought that he did as he was supposed to do. He studied hard to get good grades. He graduated from a top university. Then he worked for an analytics company right after. Grant thought that he was set off for life, that he was already a successful adult. His first job was located 2 hours away from where he lived. The windows in the building does not open, so the air was always stale. Grant was assigned to work in a 4-foot-wide cubicle. The fluorescent light there was so bright that it was almost blinding. Grant did his best, and he worked hard so that his boss would like him. That's why when he gets home, he is so tired. All he could do is to sit in front of the TV. Grant could not sleep, though, because he was too anxious about his work performance. At 5 a.m., his alarm would go off and the cycle would start over again. Grant began to wonder if he would live the rest of his life like that, sitting in front of the TV or computer, being too tired to do anything else. "You'll get used to it," his father told him. "Welcome to the real world." Grant tried to convince himself that this is how he is supposed to be. Every minute he worked on his desk is a dollar earned, and it brings him closer to the dream life he wants to live. But in reality, he was just working enough to pay the bills. He was living from paycheck to paycheck. The first check on the 15th of the month is for apartment rent. The second check is for paying his credit card balance. What happens is that Grant worked so hard on the weekdays. Then to relieve his stress, he overspends on the weekends. He always tells himself that he will start saving money next month. But it never happened. 6 months later, Grant was fired. The reason is that he was not making enough money for the company. In those 6 months, Grant realized that he traded 1,400 hours of his life for $15,500. He has no savings, and he has $12,000 worth of debt on his credit card. Grant realized that doing what he was supposed to do does not guarantee anything. Even if he spends 40 years of his life inside an office cubicle, that does not mean that he would have a happy retirement. Besides, what kind of life is that? Grant does not want to spend the best of his years sitting in front of a desk. He wants to work in a job he loves and enjoy his life. Grant does not want to worry about money all the time. He does not want to depend on a company that could fire him anytime. He wants to be in control of his own income and time. He wants to be able to travel anywhere around the world. He does not want to be limited by lack of money or available vacation leaves of just 10 days per year. Grant wants to explore the world. He wants to see his kids grow and play with them. He wants to see their precious moments, which he would miss if he is stuck in an office. Grant does not want to wake up at 75 years old and realize that he had done nothing. Then Grant thought that if he wants a different life, he must also do something different. So that morning, While lying on the grass in his parents' backyard, he made some goals for himself. That is to save $1,000 and to have financial freedom. Grant started to read finance and investment books. He launched 2 online businesses and several side hustles for extra income. He started to save 25%, then 40%, then 80% of his monthly salary and invested it in the stock market. 5 years later, in 2015, Grant is already worth $1 million. He did not win the lottery or had a surprise inheritance. What he did is to maximize the value of his time. He became an entrepreneur and investor. He learned how to manage his personal finances well. These are things that Grant swears anyone can do. He will teach you how to become a millionaire in 5 years in this book. From $2.26, you can also raise your worth to $1,000. Hack your 9 to 5. Do you work in an office 8 hours every day? Many people do. They show up every morning, do their assigned task, bond with their coworkers at lunch, and head home as quickly as possible. But is this really an effective path to financial freedom? Even if you don't resign, here are ways in which you can take full advantage of your 9-5 job. You can increase your opportunities in short-term and long-term strategies. In the short term, you can increase your market value, maximize your salary and benefits, and have the chance of working from home or a flexible schedule. In the long term, you can learn more skills, network with a lot of people, and learn what they do. If you have multiple valuable skills, the company will surely compensate enough for you. Let's dig in deeper. For the short term, there are the benefits such as life insurance, health insurance, transportation benefits, cell phone, and internet bill coverage. Make sure to study all these benefits so that you can use them in full. Brandon is a 34-year-old web developer, but he was able to arrange for remote work so he can travel and control his time. He had a full-time salary with benefits and bonuses, but he is not stuck in the office. Plus, Brandon saves money from transportation and buying office clothes. He does not have to go to the office anymore, and so he has less expenses. Drew is a software salesman from Chicago. He had sold over $2,000 worth of products for his company. In his performance review, Drew said that he would only remain if he is given a $100,000 raise and if he is allowed to work remotely. Drew plans to move to Los Angeles and live with his girlfriend. Drew is a good and high-performing salesman who makes a lot of money for his company, and so his boss agreed with the arrangement. Now, Drew has more control of his time and has flexible work schedule. He wakes up in the morning and takes a walk with his dog. Then he goes back home and does a few sales calls. Recently, Drew also had a vacation in Japan, and still he was able to sell products from there. Just like Brandon and Drew, you can make yourself very valuable in your company, and you can arrange for remote work and flexible schedule. You can also work online as a virtual assistant or a customer service agent. You can also have side hustles such as being a blogger, YouTuber, or social media influencer. Now let's look closer at the long-term strategy, which is learning more skills and networking with more people. The author Grant Sabatier said that skills are the currency of the future. It means that the more skills you learn, the more money you will earn. For example, you can be a programmer and a salesman, or a graphic designer and also an analyst. But the most important skill you could learn is how to sell. Selling is a highly valued skill. If you can learn how to sell anything, then you will earn lots of money. Other in-demand skills are branding, marketing, communicating, coding, designing, or synthesizing data. Here is Grant Sabatier's story. After staying at his parents' house, he got a job at a small digital marketing agency in Chicago. It was a huge turning point in his life. Grant made sure to apply to a small firm so that he would be closer to the action. His salary was $50,000 a year, but Grant also earned over $300,000 from his side hustles. For the next 11 months, he arrived early at work and stayed as late as he can to meet every person in the company. Grant tried to learn what they are doing in their jobs. It was through this networking that Grant was able to learn about web design, programming, SEO, copywriting, creative design, and ultimately selling. His real job was to run Google advertising campaigns. But Grant approached the head sales guys, Dave and Jade, who were reaching out to companies that need a new website or digital marketing service. Grant spent as much time as he can with them. He realized that most people are willing to teach, to help, and answer your questions, especially if you are working for the same company. In a few months, Dave and Jade started including Grant in their business pitches. Grant was able to close the deal with the company's biggest client in his second pitch. And so, Grant's advice is to reach out to one new person every week. Have lunch with them. Learn about what they do in their department. 1 hour per meeting is enough for you to be friends and to learn each other's skills. By networking, you can expand your skills and become more valuable in your company. You can demand more freedom, compensation, and flexibility at your full-time job. More money in less time. Matt is a 25-year-old graphic designer. He makes $55,000 a year in his full-time job. He is okay with the company, and he loves his coworkers. Matt has no plans to resign. But what most of his coworkers don't know is that Matt makes over $200,000 per year from his side hustle. He is the owner and founder of a dog walking company. He launched the company 3 years ago when he was still a student. Back in those days, Matt saw the job posting on the school message board. The rate was $5 for each dog walk. Soon enough, Matt was walking 10 dogs every week. But more people moved into his neighborhood, and he had more dogs than he could handle. That is why Matt filed for his own limited liability company, or LLC. He hired his classmates to walk dogs with him. At present, Matt is earning 4 times more in his side hustle than his full-time job. Matt is also saving lots of money because he still lives in the same small apartment he had in college. He invests almost 100% of what he earns from his business. Because of his side hustle, Matt could have $1.5 million in his savings account by the age of 30. You need to diversify your income stream. You can have several side hustles aside from your full-time job. You need to invest 100% of your income in your side hustles so that you can reach $1 million as soon as possible. What are the side hustles you can do? You can walk dogs, mow lawns, shovel snow, make deliveries, babysit, or chauffeur people. You can be a programmer, a tutor, a blogger, or online seller. Here are the side hustles that Grant Sabatier had while he was working in the digital marketing firm. He built websites for law firms. He flipped domain names. He ran digital marketing campaigns for real estate agents and law firms. He also did search engine optimization projects. Aside from that, Grant also sold concert tickets, took care of his neighbor's cat, wrote white papers, and sold high-end office chairs. He even did babysitting. For Grant, no job is too small if you are always looking ways to make more money. Then you can invest more, and you can become closer to financial freedom. The fast-track investment strategy. Have you ever tried to invest? Do you have any idea about investing? Many people find investing to be scary or confusing. That's why they don't invest, or they pay financial advisors to manage their investment. But you don't need to know complicated finance or investment concepts to be able to start investing. You should start investing as soon as you can, because every day of compounding matters. The longer your money is making interests in your investment portfolio, the more money you will earn. Compounding means that by the time you are 80 years old, your investment has earned so much interest over the years. You have 5 goals in investing. That is to minimize risks, minimize fees, minimize taxes on your contributions, maximize returns, and minimize taxes on your withdrawals. Some people invest in art, furniture, collectibles, or wine. Some people invest in cryptocurrencies. Here is an advice. Never invest in anything you don't understand. Never put your money in an investment that your relative, friend, business partner, or financial advisor told you about. Beware of investments that are too good to be true. Never invest in something that promises 20% return in 1 year. Instead, focus on financial instruments that generate consistent returns as years pass by. Your investment portfolio should include stocks, bonds, and real estate. You don't need a financial advisor. You can learn how to invest in a simple way. Remember, the more control you have over your finances, the more money you will make. Here are 3 steps on investment that you can apply. First, separate your short-term and long-term investment goals. Your short-term investment is one that you can grow in 5 years. You might take back your money plus interest because you want to renovate your home or travel to Europe. One example of short-term investment is your emergency fund. It is your savings account that is worth your living expenses in 6 months. The good thing about this emergency fund is you can use it in case you have a health emergency or you lose your job. Since you have an emergency fund, you do not need to borrow money and you have time to recover or find a new job. Another example of short-term investment is a certificate of deposits. CDs are offered by banks. If you put your money in CDs, your bank will give you a guaranteed interest rate, like for example, 2%, over a fixed period of time. One last example of short-term investment is bonds. A bond is a form of debt issued when a government, municipality, or company needs money. It's a loan with guaranteed interest. When you buy a bond, you are loaning money for a set period of time on a fixed interest rate. If you want to invest in bonds, you can buy them easily through a bond fund. One example of this is the Vanguard Total Bond Market Index Fund. It is a diversified group of high-quality bonds. This particular fund already includes 70% of government bonds and 30% of corporate bonds. Bond funds are low risk, but they have a higher potential of return. Now let's discuss long-term investment. This is the money you invest that would stay and grow in your portfolio for 30 plus years. Here is step 2 of Grant's investment strategy. Figure out how much money you have to invest. It's good if you have an automated amount that will go to your portfolio every month. Automation is just the start, but do not set it and forget about it. Still, it's better if you increase your contribution to your portfolio. It's better if more and more part of your salary and your side hustles go to your investment. Try to grow your investing rate by 1% every 30 days. Then you can reevaluate every 6 months. If you do this, you can have 12% more in your investment portfolio every year. Once you start investing more, saving becomes easier for you. Grant, for example, grew his investment from 0% to 20%. Once he reached 20%, he saw how much his investment is growing. This motivated him further to go from 20% to 50%. Every extra dollar that you add to your investment counts. Push yourself to add more of your income to your investments. You will be rewarded with the good feeling of seeing your interest grow. The third step of Grant's investment strategy is to determine your target asset allocation. Remember that stocks are riskier than bonds. You need to study how much of your investment goes to stocks and how much of it goes to bonds. Here is an example. Brandon reached financial freedom at 36 years old. 100% of his portfolio goes to stocks because he is still earning from his side hustle, which is blogging. Since he is confident in the long-term progress of the U.S. stock market, Brandon keeps his portfolio this way. Meanwhile, the couple Christy and Bryce, who are both in their 30s, are more conservative. They have 40% of their money in bonds and 60% of it in stocks. No matter what happens in the stock market, their portfolio generates $40,000 in dividends and fixed income. Conclusion. You learned about Grant Sabatier's story, from being broke and unemployed to making $1,000 in just 5 years. You learned how to hack your full-time job. Do not feel stuck because there are things you can do to earn more and have more control of your time. Learn more skills. Do not limit your knowledge. Network with people and learn what they know. Maximize your bonuses and benefits at work. Do not hesitate to ask for remote work or flexible hours. You learned how to have several side hustles. You learned about Matt, who is a full-time graphic designer and also an owner of a dog walking company. Be productive and always look for more ways to earn money. Lastly, you learned the fast-track investment strategy. First, separate your short-term and long-term investment. Second, put in more portion of your salary and side hustles in your portfolio. Third, determine how much stocks and how much bonds you will invest in. Now you know that investing is not complicated. You can easily apply what you learned from this book, change your thinking that you will be stuck in a small cubicle for the rest of your life. There are many opportunities for you to earn and grow your money. Here are more tips. Save as much as you can. Before buying anything, reflect if you really need it. Live a simple lifestyle. Make sure to pay all your debts and remain debt-free. Let your money compound in your investments. Do not be scared about the ups and downs of the stock market. Be a smart investor. Start your journey to financial freedom today.